Hello everyone. So welcome to M Laundry 2025 and this is my review of the Hotpoint Gentle Power washing machine. There are a few different models in this range and this one in particular is the H789 model. That is 8 kilograms without the interior light and without the automatic dosing drawer. Those of you who are familiar or even new to the channel may have seen that there was a recent full review of my former Bosch Series 8 washing machine, which whilst here was a wonderful piece of kit, but unfortunately due to damage sustained in transit, the machine became very problematic during its time here and had to be returned. So this is the replacement, and so far it is a phenomenal machine. It is handling multiple loads of laundry a day very well for a very busy household. And I just wanted to do a review and a run through of the programs for you all, given that I can't see many videos on YouTube about this. So hopefully this gives you more of an insight. And please feel free to ask any questions and I will reply as best and as often as I can. So this is the unit itself. It fits in nicely underneath the counter. It doesn't stick out as much from the counter as the Bosch did. But what I've done still is left the markers here, the sort of silicone protectors on the door. So when the door opens, they knock against the edge of the door so it doesn't cause any damage. And I've also put one here, wrapped it around, so when the door opens, it hits that instead. And again, there's no direct contact with the metal handle and on the door. So this particular machine, I'll start with what it's like when it powers up. So when the power to the appliance is completely switched off, once you turn it on, the machine will automatically turn on by itself, as you can see here. It does make a noise normally when you first buy it, but I've changed it in the settings menu to turn the beep off. It's not incredibly loud at all, but because of the nature of the house and people doing shift work, to make it as silent as possible if people are using the machine at various times, if someone else is sleeping, I just turned off the beeping noise. Let me turn it off here, and then if power is already supplied to the machine and you turn it on from the button, only press it once and sometimes it will come on straight away. But on some occasions, for example, if it's been off for a while, you may notice that when you press the button, it takes a good 3 to 4 seconds to turn on. So don't keep pressing the button, just press it once and it will eventually turn on. So these machines here are actually built in China. I believe they are built along with the Whirlpool machines in the Chinese factory. And what you will notice is that this is basically a Whirlpool machine with a Hotpoint fascia on it. If you compare this to a similar machine on on Whirlpool's website, the models that also are A minus 30% energy rating, you will notice, apart from the branding, apart from one difference in program, if I remember correctly, on the dial, and some of the names they use for the appliance itself, it is an absolutely identical machine in terms of drums, programming, paddles, everything. And so far we are all very, very impressed. So having a look at the control module, this is the fascia here. You haven't got the auto dosing drawer. So when you start to open it, they are a little bit stiff, so you have to push this flap in here and give it a good tug. And there we are. And so you've got your pre-washing section here, fabric softener here, and main washing here. And also, obviously, if you don't want to use any of these, you can just stick whatever you want in the drum, pods, laundry sheets, whatever you like to use. Very, very easy to remove. They are much easier to remove than the other Hotpoint machines where the drawers open at a range of 90 degrees. You just pull this out to the maximum, depress this button here, easily do it with one hand, and then the drawer will simply come out for ease of cleaning. Now, one thing I will say is that this seems to be a bit of a thing with Hotpoint machines, well, the ones that I've owned anyway. If you're going to be putting powder in this compartment here, whether it be whitening powder or detergent powder or anything like that, give the drawer a little bit of a shake, I'd say, to even out the powder distribution so it's not in one big clump on one side. Reason being is that if the load does not take in a lot of water, for example, if you notice that there's no residue here, you may notice once you pull the drawer out that some of the powder solidifies and stays here because it doesn't dissolve completely. So if you are using powder, please do stick to the manufacturer's recommendations and don't put too much in, because you may find that it just stays in a solid clump at the back and starts to build up. So it's always worth checking that at the end of a cycle or frequently if you're frequently using any powder in the machine. Again, just pop it in there and then with a click, push it in and then goes back in. At the end of a cycle, what I like to do to avoid mold build-up over time, I always keep the detergent drawer open enough to air, and I always keep the door open a little bit as well. So the control module itself, so we have anti-stain, we have mixed extra silence, which is a very long program. It's 7.5 hours, but that is over a longer duration of time. It reduces the noise quite a lot. I've not actually used it. We've had no need to use it in the house, but for example, if you wanted to do laundry overnight, for example, or to extend the wash throughout the day, it may be an option for you. But personally, we've got no need for this program in this house, but I will try it and we'll get back to you on what it's like. Mixed, which is very commonly used for mixed items: cotton, synthetics, delicates, wool, spin and drain. Steam refresh 20 minutes, rapid 30 minutes, full load 45 minutes, very good program by the way. Anti-allergy, Eco 40 to 60, which all machines now must have on them, 20-degree cycle and more cycles. If you turn the dial to more cycles, you will notice that on the screen here, you can select through rinse and spin, multicolour, bed and bath, for example, bed sheets and towels, duvet, silken curtains, baby clothes, cuddly toys, pet stuff, jeans, and finally shirts as well. If you want to go back, you'll just have to move the control module and then it will go to a different program. On the control module as well here, you have got different options for each wash. So let's put it on cottons for now. And just get on the floor here. So it's very good in terms of option selections, what you can do. Here it will tell you with how many bars out of 5 electricity will be used and how much the water consumption will be for the cycle selected as well. You've got an option if you want to reduce it by doing rapid. The reason why that didn't work is because the gentle power button is on, and I will come to that in a second. This button here is steam hygiene. Now this forms part of the Steam 3.0. Now that essentially means 3 different types of steam functions on this machine. You've got steam hygiene, steam refresh, and also steam finish, which is on the options setting here. So I will come to that afterwards. So if you want to add steam to this wash, it adds the time by another 20 minutes. We can take that off if we want. And then say I want to look at what other options are available for the machine. I just press the options buttons here. And then if it's an option that you can select, it's much easier to see this, by the way, in person. In terms of filming, it looks like these are all available, but they're not actually. So I'll go through that. If you take too long to make a selection, as you've just seen, it will go back to the washing screen. So press that again. And you can use the up and down arrows to toggle through the cycles. So easy iron is not available. Steam finish is available. Multiple rinses, very good for people that suffer from allergies and want to get a lot of fabric softener or detergent out of the clothes. cold wash option and pre-wash option as well. So again, the only two options that you can select for this particular cycle with gentle power enabled is steam finish and multi-rinse. If you want to go back, just press the temperature selector button. Now, gentle power, a phenomenal feature of this machine. Let's turn that off. You'll notice now that the time has increased, and then with the gentle power selected, the time will decrease. So opening the door, what you've got here, it says gentle power there, is a jet, which is by far the best that I have seen on any machine. There is a short video on my channel which you can watch as well, which shows you how the water is distributed from this jet when it is turned on. The water sprays out and covers a large surface area of the drum here to completely saturate the clothes, especially at the beginning and during other various points of the cycle. Now, this enables very rapid saturation of the clothes, which if you have a very full load in this machine, with that option not enabled, or a machine that doesn't have the jet, for example, when the water just fills from the bottom, if you've got a full load with a lot of clothes crammed in the middle, you may find that as the machine is tumbling, it takes a long time for the clothes in the middle to become saturated. I have just finished a full load in this machine, probably a bit too much, I must admit. But with the gentle power enabled, again, I've just uploaded a short video on my channel for you to see. Within 30 seconds, the entire contents of the drum was saturated. So if you want to really have the best washing performance, I cannot recommend enough to use the gentle power option. If you see it on quite a long time, it's not constantly taking water or wasting water, it's recirculating. There is another pump or there is a redistribution system here, I believe, that allows the water to circulate and it comes through this system here. All very fancy, and the washing performance I cannot fault. It's a lovely drum. It has the oval shaped pillow sort of shaped drum here, and then because it's direct drive, there is no belt at the back of this machine from the motor, the belt attaching to the rear of the drum to turn the drum. That does not exist on this machine. This is completely direct drive, so the motor is attached to the rear of the drum, and that's how it turns. And you will notice that because of that direct drive, when you turn the drum, you can basically hear nothing at all. And when it is washing and when it is spinning, assuming the machine is correctly balanced, it is incredibly quiet and I cannot fault it. So lovely drum, and also the biggest paddles that I have seen on any washing machine previously. Metal door hinges, metal catches, which is really nice because there are some manufacturers that are moving away from that or have done for a long time and use plastic, but me, I'm very fond of metal in these aspects. Very large door, very nicely designed door with the silver finish here. We close that. If we come down here, this is the pump, the filter, sorry, that we can just press open there with a click. And one thing that I really like about this unit as well, which you don't see on quite a number of other machines and end up creating a huge mess all over the floor, is a drain hose, which just unclips like this. Now this, assuming you have, I bought a tray, I did so the water can drain from this tube before opening this filter here. You take off this cap here. When you do this, obviously make sure that the machine is completely switched off at the power source, obviously not in use, and that you've given some time after the last wash to do it, just in case for any reason the water remaining in here is hot. So give yourself plenty of time, maybe before the first wash of the day, machine completely off if you want to clean the filter system. So with the tray underneath, you just open this little tubing part here and the water will drain out. Always good to keep a towel under here as well, just in case any residual water comes out. And then very slowly, this part here, you turn it anti-clockwise, and then you can take out the filter for the pump to clean it and to see if anything that may have been left in laundry has dropped through, any coins, hair clips, for example. Obviously, but do check that before you put the laundry in the first place. Now, back here, once this is open, there is right at the rear, as with any washing machine, we'll call it a little fan, even though it's not a fan. It's a little plastic unit that spins called an impeller, and that has to spin effectively to allow the water to drain from the machine through to the pump system and out through the waste. If an error code has come up, or if you're noting the machine is very, very slow to drain, which will also trigger an error message on the screen, it is probably likely that the impeller is stuck, sometimes because a hair clip can get jammed in there. And then obviously, as I've just said, with the machine fully powered off, making sure the water in there is not hot, with a towel, a tray, everything at the ready, you can have a look to see if there is any debris at the back blocking the little impeller turner or anything stuck in this filter here. And most of the time that will resolve any problems. Obviously, but if there are any issues that you can't resolve yourself, or you're uncomfortable doing it, or it's not something that is detailed in the troubleshooting section of the manual, please do get an authorized service center engineer directly through Hotpoint under the guarantee, for example, to come and do it if you can't do it. And then with everything done, you screw this back clockwise until you can't turn it anymore. Sorry, try and do this with one hand. And then you've got some nice little clips here. Click that in there, click that in there, making sure that this black cap is completely screwed on before you put it back in. And then with a click, it goes back into place. So, let me go back up here. So in terms of the steam options that we were talking about, so steam refresh, for example, this is a cycle that, as the name suggests, is just using steam to refresh clothes. Let's think of shirts, for example. The machine uses equivalent or just under 2 glasses of water, which it will periodically turn the water valve on, off, on, off, on, off, and then on, off again throughout the length of the cycle to generate steam and to refresh the clothes. This is not a washing cycle, so please do not put any detergent in with clothes using this cycle, because that is not what it is made for. This is for example, shirts that have been already washed, they are clean, do not need washing, but you just want to refresh them with steam. Stick them in there, put it on this cycle, and they come out very nice and refreshed with steam. The other one was, let's put this on cotton. Let's turn gentle power off for a second. So this one here is steam hygiene. Now, this penetrates the laundry with steam at some point during the cycle, and it will happen when, for example, it's already been through some of the washing phase and everything, it's drained, it's had a little spin, and then it will go through a steaming phase. What you will notice again is that steam adds time to the cycle. If we turn that off, it goes down to 3 hours 10. Turn that back on, it will go to 3.5 hours. The machine does sense how much laundry is in the drum, so 9 times out of 10, if it's not a completely full load, that time will drop massively once the cycle has actually started. But because of how effective the gentle power jet is at saturating the clothes, and with the drum movements that it does during the cycle as well, again, with gentle power enabled, it significantly reduces the washing time. And if you take the steam off, that will reduce again, to 1 hour and 40 minutes. Like that. And it will be even less if you don't have a full load of laundry in the machine. Child lock, if you want to activate it, as says by the button here. Press and hold for 3 seconds. Child lock will be on, and then if you happen to be working on doing stuff on the worktop, for example, touch the machine by accident, you'll notice that the child lock is enabled. And then to turn that off, we do that. Temperature. One thing I also love is that these machines, as is typically standard with Hotpoint, Whirlpool, and Indesit machines as well, is that you can go in increments of 10. So 50 degrees is an option which you very, very rarely see on a lot of machines nowadays, and it gives you complete flexibility over the temperature cycling through. I tend to wash at normally maximum 20 or 30 degrees, but if you are doing that and you are using fabric softener a lot, please do make sure frequently that you are either using recommended products such as Hotpoint's W Pro products, or within the guidelines of another product to clean the machine effectively. I always put Calgon tablets in the machine, either with the laundry or on a separate cleaning cycle, as a lot of fabric softener usage, especially at low temperatures over time, can build up and cause damage not only to the heater but at the rear of the drum, the cross arm mechanism, the spider, which is what is attached to the back of the drum and rotates with the drum, and that can corrode over time. So it's always good to be mindful of how much fabric softener you're using, and if you are using a lot, for example, to make sure you're frequently cleaning out the machine as well. Have I missed anything? So you've got delay start here, and you can choose by how long you want the cycle to be delayed for. Let me clear that by just toggling from another to another program and back. I've just learned something else, so you can't clear it that way. So let's just keep pressing it through until it eventually goes back. And you'll notice as well with this machine, it's touchscreen all here, but it's very, very responsive. And there we go through 24 hours, and then we can clear it back. 1400 spin, and again, we can cycle through here. 1300, again, an option that you very rarely see on a lot of other machines, but very, very nice. And 1400 is there. If you want to get into the settings menu for any reason, you press and hold for 3 seconds. You can change the language, turn the sound on or off, change the brightness, and restore the machine to factory settings as well, which is a very nice option. And then to go back, as indicated by the 2 arrows, we just press the temperature button here. With these cycles here, if you notice that it has this symbol next to the program name, that indicates that the gentle power option can be used. So if I put it on anti-stain, for example, all the details of what these products are, of these cycles are, can also be found in the instruction manual. For example, gentle power is not an option on this one, but any other program that has this symbol on it, you can choose the gentle power option, which I completely recommend. And then full load 45 minutes, again, a fantastic program that allows you to do a full 8 kilogram load of laundry at a maximum of 45 minutes, give or take, with balancing and sensing and things like that. But every time I've done it, to be honest, only once with a really full load of laundry has it actually taken that amount of time. It's typically always been less. Now, another thing about these machines. So there is some stuff that you may find online that with Hotpoint machines, and it also carries through to this model, they're a bit different in terms of when you start the program. Most washing machines will drain to start with before they start the program, but some people have posted messages online thinking that there is a fault with their Hotpoint washing machines, that when you press the start button, it will turn the drum a little bit, and then it will lock the door. It will then unlock the door with a very strong click, and then the drum will just turn, for example, and then it can be a good 2 to 3 minutes before any water or the cycle actually commences. any water goes in, so for any water to actually start filling the drum. But what these machines do is they go through a checking phase before they start the cycle to check the components. Now what I like is on this model here, because it has the screen, when this one does it, it actually says checking. So it will check the door locking triac mechanism, it will check the rotation of the drum and the pump as well. And if you'll notice, it's doing a lot of drum rotations quite fast at some points during the beginning of a cycle, and there's no water going in. That is the sensing phase. And again, because this also happens on the some machines which don't have the screen, a lot of people assume that it's a fault when it's not. Typically these machines are very good that when there is a fault, it will actually pop up on the screen. And this machine will even remind you with a message after a certain amount of time to clean the machine as well. So it's very thorough, it's very intuitive, and it's very, very user-friendly as well. So there's that. I was trying to think if there's anything else that I should mention. On the more technical side, if you're like myself, for example, and you like to know about the repairability of the machine, for example, on that note, please obviously never attempt any repair or anything if you are not trained to do so. If there is any fault, any error code, anything like that, please go through the manufacturer under the guarantee. I always pay the small amount of monthly fee to insure my products through Domestic in General. This video, by the way, is not sponsored by anyone. I'm just saying that personally. I insure almost all of my appliances with them, and over the years, especially with my Miele products that are not in this property, it has saved me an absolute fortune just by paying a small monthly fee and not having to fork out an arm and a leg for repair costs. So these machines, what you will notice if you happen to look at the spare parts website of Hotpoint's website, is that they have a split drum. So if you want to replace something within the drum mechanism, for example, again, if you are qualified to do so, or if a technician wants to come to do it, you can choose between different parts to replace and don't have to replace the whole complete drum assembly. And to show you how this works, if someone did want to order spare parts for the machine, for example, I will take you to Hotpoint's spares website. If you type in the model number of the machine, which here happens to be, that's the Hotpoint dishwasher, by the way, which I will also do a video on, H789, select here, and we go through all parts and save and continue. I do hope that you can see this okay. What Hotpoint do, which is very nice, and some other manufacturers do it as well, is that you get a complete breakdown with line diagrams on the repairability and the parts, well, let's just say parts actually, of the machine. Drum system here, which detaches, which a lot of manufacturers are not really doing anymore. A lot of them are now sealing this unit completely welded shut. So if you wanted to replace something within this mechanism here, for example, you've got no choice but to replace the whole unit, which in some instances can cost hundreds, which then comes the famous phrase, beyond economical repair, and there you are, even if it's been a year or two or more, then, or hopefully longer than that, you find yourself having to get a new machine, which is not fun at all. And then you've got the other breakdown of parts and mechanisms here. And it also includes for the, it says here auto dose dispenser, but I think this may have been carried across from another one, because it's also got manual dispenser here, because these machines, this one in particular, is manual dispensing only. Some of the other models, for example, some of the 9 and 10 kilogram models, have an interior light in the drum and also have auto dosing as well. On that note, with auto dosing, if you are someone that, for example, will fill up the tanks with a detergent and a fabric softener that you will not change very often, then auto dosing is a very good option. It allows you to set the distribution of the detergent and fabric softener within the limits of the recommendations of the manufacturer, and not to to avoid overdosing, for example. But if in this house, for example, you live somewhere where you like to choose between different options and don't want to worry about having to empty the tank every time you want to change the options, which can be very, very messy sometimes, then I personally do like the manual dispensing option. It is so much more effective, especially if you live with people that like to use different types of detergent and fabric softeners, and you can just change it as you want. So going on from this here, if I wanted, for example, to change, hopefully this will never happen, the front bellow of the drum system, it says here 59. If I just type here 59 and press search, even though the picture doesn't come up, I've got that option to pay for it directly through Hotpoint. Now, I've been through this line diagram in this spare parts section with a fine tooth comb, so you can literally, I've seen everything that it offers on here. A lot of the stuff does say unavailable, so you may have to go through Hotpoint, but this is an example of something that is available, that you can get directly yourself through the website. So it is quite a repairable machine, and you've got a number of parts, even though they haven't got pictures listed on here. So yes, and when it's running, it is a very, very quiet machine, both during the wash phases and both when it is spinning as well. And what I do, because of the nature of how busy this house is, with the kitchen being here and everything, sometimes with these machines, if you're working here or making food here and crumbs drop into this mechanism here, it can become over time a bit stiff to move this dial. So what I like to do is I bought a cover just to cover the machine with, so you're protecting the front dial and everything, either while it's washing or if we're preparing food here, for example. So yes, to be honest with you, I cannot recommend this machine highly enough. It has been phenomenal so far, and it's doing very well in this house. Obviously do look at the options that are available through Hotpoint or an authorized retailer of these products. And again, you will notice that these are very, very similar to the higher end Whirlpool machines, but they just have the Hotpoint name on them. I hope I've managed to give a good insight into what these machines are like. And if you have any questions or if I've missed anything, please feel free to leave a comment and I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you very much.